Okay, so today's date is the 13th of March. All right, so our standard, okay, we're gonna be working on exponents and multiplication. All right, our standard will be create equations and inequalities in one variable and use them to solve problems. Include equations arising from linear functions. Standard 2, which is ACED.2, create linear, quadratic, and exponential equations in two or more variables to represent relationships between quantities. Graph equations on coordinate axes with labels and scales. The last one is to interpret exponential expressions and parts of an exponential expression that represent a quantity in terms of its framework. Our learning target would be I can interpret parts of an expression such as terms, factors, leading coefficients, constants, and degree in context. I can create exponential equations and use them to solve problems. I can create exponential functions to request a relationship between two variables. Okay, so the essential question will be how can you interpret an exponential function? All right. So today, like I said, we're gonna work on basic exponents and multiplication. Can somebody give me an example of basic multiplication? Like give me a number, like 4 times 4 or 4 times 3.
2 times
4 times 3.
Which is
12.
12. You said what?
Yeah.
You
2
said
times 2,
which is what?
4.
Okay.
And 2 times 3, which is 9.
Perfect. All right. So if you look on your paper, all right, let's go over number 1. Okay. So number 1 is we have. Let's talk about before we get started. Let's talk about 4 squared. Okay. When you see 4 squared or anything with a first of all, this is the first number, and you see this, what does that mean when it says 4 squared?
Multiply.
We're multiplying, right?
2 times.
So when we see 4 squared, what are we doing?
4 times 4.
So 4 times 4. So we're doing 4 times 4 equals what? Equals 16, okay? That's basic, right? We got that part. All right, so now we're going to talk about number 1. So number 1, we see where it says 4 squared minus 4 squared times 4 squared. I'm sorry. Coach made a mistake. 4 squared times 4 squared. Okay. So what are we doing? So it says your answer should only contain positive exponents.
So it's like 4 times 4 times 4.
Now look at, we're talking about the exponent. We're not talking about the base number. So what is the exponent that we're talking about?
2.
So we're talking about 2, right? Okay. So it's the same thing. So if we're talking about 2, what's going to happen to these 4s? Are we gonna multiply 4 times 4, or are we gonna bring this down?
Bring it down.
We're gonna bring it down. Okay. We bring this down now. So what's gonna happen to the exponents? What are we doing with those?
Multiply.
We're gonna multiply. So now, it's gonna be we bring down the 4. So what is 2 times 2?
4.
It's 4. So it's gonna be what though? It's gonna be 4 what?
4.
4 squared. That makes sense?
Kind
Kind of. Okay, so let's kind of go back to them. I'm gonna leave that part right there. So remember, before we got started, we know that anytime we see 4 squared, that means that we're going to multiply, right? We're talking about exponents, which is this. That's the same thing as saying what is 4 times 4. Okay, that makes sense. 4 times 4. We bring that down, so we know when we see 4 squared, that means 4 times 4 equals what?
16.
16. But in this point of this problem right here, the only thing we're talking about now is what?
2.
But what is this called though? The starts with an E.
Exponent.
Talk about the exponents, right? So we know we're not talking about the base number. We're talking about 4 and the exponent. So if it's 2 exponents, all we're doing is what?
Bring it down.
Bring it down. Multiplying 2 times 2, which is what?
4.
It's 4. Make sense? All right, let's move on to number 2. All right. So on number 2, we have 4 times 4 squared. So let's talk about it. If we don't see an exponent here, do we have to add one or do we leave it blank? We add one, right? Perfect. So now we add one. What's going to happen between this base number?
You bring it down.
We're going to bring it down. All right. So we bring that down. What is 2 plus 1? What does that equal?
3.
Equals to 3. But why are we doing that though? Somebody say why? Because we can't do 2 times 1 because 2 times 1 equals what?
2.
It's 2. So we have to do what this time?
You have
It's,
to add
we have to add it because we just added what?
1
We just added 1 to that. It's making sense now? You got it? Alright, so let's look at number 3.
This needs some practice, that's all.
That's it. Alright, number 3 now. Okay, we did 1 and 2. So let's kind of go ahead and talk about 3. Let's talk about our basic exponents again. Okay, so we know if we see 3 squared, what does that mean?
3 times
3 times 3. So 3 times 3 equals
9.
is equal to 9. Makes sense. Talking about that part. So now on the problem, okay, we're gonna go under and let's talk about 3 squared times 3 squared. So we're never gonna bring what down?
You bring down 3 down.
We'll bring 3 down,
Multiply it 2 times.
and 2 times 2 equals what?
4.
4.
So it's going to be 3.
You go ahead and write this on your paper too. So it's 4. Alright, so can somebody tell me what the difference is between number 2 and number 4? So with number 2, what did we just see? We just talked about it. So we know that it was.
There's 2 of them there.
So yes, it's 2 of us. No, on the first one, it didn't have an exponent. So we brought 4 down. Then we know that we got to add 1
Then
because
we
it's blank.
added
Right, so it ended up being what?
3.
4 to the third power, or 4 squared. Alright. So for 4, we have 2 times 2 squared times 2 squared.
There's one that don't have an exponent.
Which one does not have an
The
exponent?
first one.
The first one. So we're going to do what?
Add.
We're going to add it. So we know all these are 2's, right? So we're going to do what?
Bring them down.
Bring it down. What is 1 plus 2 plus 2? Or 2 plus, or
5.
it's 5. So it's going to be, what's the answer?
2. No.
You heard it.
2 fit.
There you go. So, as you see on the paper, it says we want to simplify, and our questions should only be positive exponents. So it should not be what?
Negative.
Negative. All right. Let's move on to number 5. So, just because we see n, it does not mean anything differently. Okay. We're not trying to solve for anything for
block
n.
out, like block out the end, not on both ends.
Yes, but still now, but we're not trying to solve the whole problem. What are we working on this actual
The
task? to do?
exponent.
It's the exponent, okay? So now we see 2n squared, 4 squared times 5n 4 squared. Alright, so first thing, so now we're gonna move on now. So number 4, we talked about when the numbers were the same, all we're gonna do is what now?
Bring it down.
We're gonna bring them down. But now we have 2 different numbers now. So now, yes, so now we're going to do what is multiply what?
2 times 5.
Right, so what is 2 times 5?
10.
10. Now what's going to happen to the end?
There you
Do we cross it out or we want to just bring it down?
go. Bring it down.
We're going to bring it down. So after that, what is 4 plus 4?
8.
So what about answer be?
10 and 8. No.
To the 8th power.
It'd be 8, right?
Yes.
It'd be 8.
Yeah, it's 8. It's correct. Okay. Now let's go ahead and move on to number 6. Can somebody walk me through number 6? I'll write it on the board first.
6 R.
Read it out to me. So we have
6 R times.
So
Wait,
6.
hold on.
Well, you forgot something. 6
6
R.
R.
What's
It don't have no
what's the exponent?
Oh,
There you go.
ain't got
There's no exponent. Okay. Then what's the times?
5 R squared.
Okay. So
You have to
same
add an
same thing we just talked about, right? So now we both know, like we said, that both of these numbers are not the same.
You
Correct.
have to multiply.
So we're gonna do what now? Multiply.
Multiply 6 times.
But before we multiply now,
You have to
last
add-
time we had to add what now? An exponent.
Yeah.
Because we don't have one. So now it's going to be 6r 1 squared. Alright, so now we have, first we're going to do what? 6 times 5.
Is 30.
So 6 times 5 equals
30.
30. Okay, so now what we're going to do with this 30 now? We're going to break it down, right?
Yeah.
Bring the 30 down. 30, what happens to the r?
Bring it down.
Bring it down. So now what is
Add 2 plus 4.
equals,
3.
so our answer is
30 hours.
3 squared.
Oh, sorry.
Everybody got that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of confusing. Huh?
Okay. Do I need to kind of back up and kind of go over it one more time for this one?
Kind Can I take a picture of it so I can study on it?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Thank you.
Miss Brian told us, and then all Miss Fuquay told me not to do is like overthink it.
Yes.
'Cause I
So
already, like,
I think that's kind of the issue, like you said, Miss Quay class, when we're in there, like you said, you're overthinking the whole concept. So, like it says on the paper, we're working on the exponent. But we know that anytime we see this, that means to do what? Is to multiply. So I can write it down another way. So we know that we have 6R times 5R squared. So right now, how about you just take your finger and cover up the square? I'm going to remove this for right now. I'm not going to worry about that square part. So now, all thing I'm looking at right now is the basic multiplication of 6 times 5. So 6 times 5 equals 30. Okay? And what happens to the R?
You bring it down.
You bring it down. So now let's go ahead and move back over now. Let's talk about the full problem. We had 6R times 5R squared. So remember now, when you don't see an exponent, you're going to do what? You're going to add 1. So I add my exponent, which is going to be 1. So now my question is 6R squared times 5R squared. Okay? So now we know that 6 times 5 equals 30. We bring the R down. All that we're doing now is adding what now? 2 and 1, which gives us what? It's 3. Make sense now? Better? Okay. So now, guys, let's move on to... We are number 7 now. Okay? Number 7. What does number 7 say? It says...
Square
2n.
square times 6n square.
Do you want to go ahead and remove the exponents first and do the multiplication part first to make it easier?
You got 6 and 6.
Yes.
2 times.
So we know that 2 times 6,
It's 12.
2 times 6 equals 12. All right. So now we're going to break down to 12, right? 12 going to come down. What happens to our n? You break that down.
Yeah, we bring all that down.
That's
Okay.
this 9 is a 4.
How you get a 4 or 2?
That's this 9 is a 4. That's it.
6 in
6n
to the 4th power.
Did I write that wrong?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was to the 4th power. I'm so sorry. Okay. So we know that 2 times 6 equals 12. We bring down our 2. So now we know that 4 plus 4 equals
8.
8. So our answer is going to be 12n to the 8th power.
Okay.
Make sense? Alright. Let's move on to number 8. So now, number 8 is a little different now. Okay? Do y'all see the
It has no
difference?
number.
It doesn't have a number. So when it does not have a number, what are we doing now since it does not have a number? Are we going to add a number?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the answer to number 7 again? Oh.
12.
12, so I'll write number 7 again. Okay, so let's talk about number 7 one more time. So we know it was 2n to the 4th power times 6n to the 4th power. Correct. So, like we said before, 6 times 2 equals 12, which is 6 times 2 equals 12. Then we want to bring down, go from 12, bring our n down, correct? So now we have what?
8.
12n, then we do 4 plus 4 equals
8.
12n to the 8th power. That's our correct answer. Makes sense. Alright. Let's go ahead and erase. We erase now. So now let's talk about number 8. We have 6k squared times k. What do we want to treat k? Let's go ahead and talk about this problem, okay? Same thing like we did before. Do we have an exponent over here by k?
No.
No. Do we have a number over here by k?
No.
No. So, since we don't have a number, we're going to treat k as what now?
1.
We'll treat it as 1. So now we're going to have 6k squared times 1. So now, let's talk about 6 times 1. 6 times 1 equals 6. Now what's going to happen to my k? I want to bring it down. So let's say that's still 1k. I forgot that part. So now it will be 6k. Now, 2 plus 1 equals
3.
3. So our answer would be what?
6K.
6K to the third power. Make sense? Does anybody want to walk me through number 9? Okay. Walk me through it. Talk me through it.
Okay, so it's 5B squared
Okay, we have 5b squared.
times 8B. And then you have to add a number 1.
I'm gonna add the 1. Alright, so now what is y'all wanna go ahead and bring it back down? So let's do 8 times 5 equals
40.
8 times 5 is 40.
Then you bring down the B.
So 40, bring down the b,
Then you'll add 2 times 1. 2 plus 1,
which equals.
3.
So our answer is gonna be
40B to the
to the third power.
third power.
Questions on number 9. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Number 10. Let's talk about 10. So 10 is.
4.
I put the 10 down. Ha. Making mistakes.
4x
4x
squared
squared.
times 3x.
Okay.
But you have to add an exponent, so it's gonna be 1.
Walk me through it first. What's the first thing we want to do is identify exponents, right? So we know our first one and 4 we have an exponent. So we want to add on 1.
Drag something down as well.
Yep, so let's go ahead and rewrite it. Now we have 4 squared times 3x. 1 to the 1 power. Alright, so now let's do 4 times 3. Let's go ahead and multiply. 4 times 3 equals to
4 times 3 is 12.
is 12. So now we have 12. What's going to happen to our x now?
It
It comes down. So now we want to do what to our exponents? Just do what? We want to
1x
add them.
is
So 2 plus 1 equals.
3.
So our final answer is going to be, which is what?
To the
12
third
x.
power.
Can I write that down before you erase it?
Huh?
Can I write that down?
Yes, go ahead. If I'm moving too fast, let me know.
Okay.
I was about to go on. No exponent.
I already got it.
Everybody got it?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay. I'm going to leave this one on the board for the ones who did not get a chance to write it. So now, let's move on to number 11. Let's write it out again. Somebody tell me what it is. 6x.
Times 2.
Is there an exponent for this first one? Okay. Then it's
Times
what?
2x squared. So
What's
you have
what's
to
what's the
add-
difference?
you
Do we have
to
an
add
exponent?
exponent.
We want to add an exponent. Okay.
And then you multiply 6 times 6.
So that's write it all down. We have 6x. So we want to do 6 times 6 equals
36.
36. So bring 36 down.
Then
Happen to my x, my variable.
you bring it
I
down.
bring it down.
And then you add 1 plus 2, and that's 3.
So my final answer is going to be
36. Wait,
36x to the third power.
wait, was that? Hold on.
I'm sorry. Listen, coaches. It's me because I'm moving too fast and I'm writing down the wrong variable.
Wait, that's number 12.
It was supposed to be 3.
That's number 12.
Well, we're on number 12.
I wrote down number 12. So we went ahead and moved ahead. So let me go ahead and just go back. Let's talk about 12 because I skipped a number. I'm sorry. So 12 we had 6x with no variable times 6x what?
Times
To the third power. So
power.
now we have to add
a
one,
variable.
add a variable. So we know that 3 plus 1 equals what?
4.
4. So I'm sorry, I skipped one. So
That was
it's
36.
36x. So now I'll erase this one. Let's go ahead and talk about
11.
number 11 now, because Coach accidentally, I skipped one. I'm moving too fast.
6x. There ain't no square.
There's no square.
Times 2x squared.
Very similar to what we seen earlier, okay? I want to do what? Is to add a variable.
Add a variable.
So I'm going to rewrite it. 6x times 2x
2x squared.
squared. 6 times 12 is
6 times 2 is 12.
6 times 2 is 12. Bring down my x, correct? So
And
now I
then
want to do
you
what?
add 2 plus 1, and that's 3.
So our answer will be what?
Of x to the 3rd power.
The 3rd power. So let's go ahead and turn to page 2. So now this is going to get a little bit more tricky than what it was before. Okay. Let's talk about number 14 first.
Yeah, that's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, so we have 9x y squared times
I thought we was on number 13.
x.
He
I
said
skipped
let's
13. Let's talk about this one
14.
first.
Right.
Plus y squared.
Square.
What
You have
2
that.
things do you see that are similar in the first part and the second part
Y
of
squared.
the square, but what about our variables? Are our variables the same?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
So we know when we see 9 times 9, we want to do what?
Multiply.
We want to multiply.
81.
So 9 times 9
81.
equals to 81. So we know our multiplication number is 81.
Don't
But
you
what
have
about
to add
our
a-
variables?
You have to add a 1 behind the x.
Are we sure though? Because think about it. These 2 variables are just separate, but they are the same.
Oh.
So are we going to just bring down the y? Are we just bringing down the x? Are we bringing down both?
Both.
Why are we bringing down both?
Wait,
Look on your paper and look at it again. So if I have 9xy squared times 9x to the 5th power, and you have y to the 2nd power.
Both because
Take
they
square.
both is inverse.
Right, so we want to bring what? Both down. X and y, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is good. So now we're going to talk about multiplication now. So anytime we see 2 times 5, 2 times 5 equals what?
2.
Equals 10. We got that part. But what is going to happen to my y that's over here? I'm sorry, I missed that part up. So since we have the variables are x, we want to bring the x down first. So it would be x, and then we know that 5 times 2 is what? It's 10. So, like we said, and we don't have nothing else over here because we already did 2 times 5, correct? So now we're gonna put an imaginary what? 1. We're gonna bring our y down, correct? 2 times 1 equals what? I'm
Two.
sorry,
2 plus 1.
I did that wrong. I'm sorry.
2 plus 1?
Nope, I did that wrong again. I'm sorry. The thing is that I'm messing up. So we know we're gonna do this part first. This is the first thing that we want to do is anytime that we see these two numbers first, we want to multiply those. But what is something similar in here? Does x, and so we're not gonna worry about this part out here because we already brought down x, correct? So now we're working on our y variable. Our y variable
Y term.
is gonna be what now? If we already did 2 times 5,
It'll be
what we're gonna do? We're gonna do y. These 2 y's. So what 2 exponents do you see that y? What 2 numbers are the same in the y exponents? It's 2 and 2. I'm gonna cover my hand. We're not worried about x right now. We saw for x already. So our x was what? 5 times 2, and our y.
We're going to have a planned fire drill in a few minutes. When the bell rings, please make sure your students take their book bags with them, and then they will be returning after the fire drill at the 6th period.
Okay, guys, let's go ahead and finish this last one. Okay, we gotta
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
7th period.
Let's finish this last one. Then we gotta end our
So
lesson.
2 times 2 is basically 2 times 2.
Yes. So 2 times. So our y variable is gonna be what? 2 times what?
4.
2 times 2 equals what?
4.
All right, guys, that ends our lesson. We had to go ahead and go outside for our fire drill. Whatever we did not finish today, we'll pick up on tomorrow.